In 1998, the Nobel Prize was awarded to 3 American scientists for one of the most groundbreaking discoveries we've seen in heart disease, cardiovascular health in the past 30 years. They discovered that a little-known gas, which they originally thought was dangerous, was the key to regulating the 60,000 miles of blood vessels in our body. And that gas is nitric oxide. And in this video, we're going to break down some really important topics related to nitric oxide so you can understand why it's the most important compounds you can support in your body for your heart health and more. We're going to cover what is nitric oxide and why is it important. We're going to cover how it's formed in the body. And at the end of the video, we're going to talk about the key research-proven strategies that are going to help you boost nitric oxide to support your heart health, your brain health, and every cell in your body. So let's get going. So what is nitric oxide and why is it so important for human health? Well, nitric oxide, like we talked about, is a gas, and some of the key roles it plays in human health have a lot to do with the heart. Number one, nitric oxide, when it diffuses across the blood vessel wall, it goes into the muscle cells and it causes the muscle cells to relax, which is one of the most key things in regulating the over 60,000 miles of blood vessels you have in your body. That's enough blood vessels to go around the world 2.5 times, and they feed oxygen and nutrients to literally every single cell in your body, every brain cell, every skin cell, every muscle cell. So regulating your blood vessel tone is a key factor in supporting all aspects of your health, not just your heart. Now, another thing that nitric oxide does that's so important for your cardiovascular system is it serves as a key antioxidant for the endothelium, which is the lining of the blood vessels in your arteries. And protecting that endothelial lining is one of the key parts of preventing damage, which is what starts plaque accumulation. So without nitric oxide, we have increased blood pressure, which damages the inside of our arteries, causes plaque, and causes heart disease. We have reduced protection of the inside of our arteries from an antioxidant standpoint, which also leads to plaque formation and heart disease. So 2 major roles that nitric oxide plays. Now, it has other very interesting roles as well. There's a lot of breakthrough research showing that nitric oxide production is key for the brain, because our brain depends on massive amounts of blood flow in order to be healthy and in order to support thought. And we know that increasing blood flow to the brain can reduce things like cognitive declines associated with aging and things as simple as exercise increasing blood flow to the brain. So nitric oxide plays a key role in brain health as well. Now, lastly, and very interestingly, there's all these other areas of research that we're breaking through with nitric oxide. For instance, they found that higher nitric oxide levels lead to increased telomere length. And telomeres are these things that we can measure in our body that are associated with aging. And increased telomere length is increased with a longer lifespan. And nitric oxide seems to play a key role in that. Now, sort of last but not least, we know nitric oxide role in other things like sexual function, because this Nobel Prize discovery in 1998 around the role of nitric oxide and its ability to increase blood flow is what led to the breakthrough in pharmaceutical therapy for treating sexual dysfunction like erectile dysfunction. Those drugs work directly by increasing nitric oxide and increasing blood flow. So it spans every single organ and system of the body, and increasing nitric oxide seems to be this key master way of supporting our health and supporting longevity. So in this next segment, we're going to talk about how is nitric oxide actually made in our body and what can we do to support more of it. So let's talk about the ways in which your body makes this incredibly important signaling molecule, is what we're going to call it. And there's 2 main ways that the body makes nitric oxide. One is it makes nitric oxide through certain enzymes that our body naturally contains. The most notable one being something called ENOS, or endothelium-derived nitric oxide synthase, which is an enzyme that lives in our endothelium, which can actually make nitric oxide from starting materials, amino acids like L-arginine, which you may have heard of. So that's a very important role and plays a key factor in keeping our nitric oxide levels abundant. But there's another very important way that our body makes nitric oxide that we didn't know of until really just not too long ago. And this has to do with our dietary intake of nitrites and nitrates. And this is fascinating. When we eat foods, and we're going to really talk about exactly which foods. So make sure you stay tuned as the video goes through, because there's a huge difference. Some foods can give you nitrates that are actually very damaging to your health, and some can give you nitrates that really promote your health. So you've got to listen to that part. But when you consume the right foods with the right nitrates, your body absorbs them. The levels go up dramatically. They go into your bloodstream and they concentrate in your salivary glands. And then your salivary glands release the nitrate. Now, this is interesting. When your salivary glands release the nitrate, you have to have the right microbiome, the right bacteria in your mouth that then convert the nitrate into nitrates. Then when you swallow them, they have to get to the stomach and they need hydrochloric acid to convert them into nitric oxide. So there's two super important parts of using a dietary strategy to increase your nitric oxide. Number one, you have to have very good oral microbiome. And number two, you have to have stomach acid. Now, this is not just on theory. The research is so correlated with this that they've done studies where they gave participants an oral mouthwash, typical antibacterial oral mouthwash, for 7 days. And they found that after 7 days, the amount of oral nitrate that was produced was reduced by 90%. And the amount of circulating nitric oxide in their blood was reduced by 25%. And as expected, blood pressure levels went up 3 to 5 millimeters per mercury, or 3 to 5 points, just after 7 days. And we know that every millimeter point increase in blood pressure equals about a 1% increase in heart disease risk. So even small increases in blood pressure can lead to significant increases in heart attack or stroke risk. So this is so key. You have to keep your oral microbiome balanced, and you have to keep your gut acidity balanced in order to leverage this incredibly key aspect of using dietary intake of nitrates to boost your nitric oxide levels. We know that the enzymes in our body get tired and worn out of doing that process. So researchers are learning that the dietary component it's not one or the other. They have to work together to keep our nitric oxide levels high enough to support our heart health, our brain health, and get all of these benefits. So now in this next segment of the video, let's talk about how do we do this? Okay, so let's get to the question everybody's asking. How can I get more nitric oxide into my bloodstream to have all of these wonderful benefits? We know it declines as we age, and a lot of research are starting to theorize that a lot of things related to aging are related to reduced nitric oxide production, because what we haven't talked about yet is one thing that it does is it helps our mitochondria work more efficiently. And our mitochondria are what produce all of our energy. So yes, in an ideal world, we keep our nitric oxide levels similar to what they were like when we were young. And there's some key strategies we can do it. Number one is exercise. Hands down, exercise is one of the most proven ways to increase your nitric oxide production because of something called shear stress. When you exercise and you increase your heart rate and temporarily increase your blood pressure, you create some shear stress against the lining of your blood vessels, which triggers this upregulation of this endothelial-derived enzyme that makes nitric oxide. So exercise is known to be one of the most key factors in increasing nitric oxide production. Now, you might ask a really good question. Dr. Passero, if exercise causes shear stress to raise my nitric oxide levels, why doesn't high blood pressure cause increased nitric oxide levels? And that's because high blood pressure is something that's happening constantly. And when it's constantly going on over time, instead of creating a positive stress to your body, it creates a damage to your body. Exercise, the shear stress associated with exercise, is temporary. We exercise for a half hour, an hour and a half, 2 hours, not 24 hours. And in a hypertensive individual, their blood pressure is typically elevated above ideal 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, which eventually leads to damage. Now, exercise is one great way. You can increase shear stress also by sauna. And we've seen this research play out over and over and over again that people who sauna end up lowering their blood pressure and have significantly lower risk of cardiovascular disease and heart attack. And one of the main working theories is that sauna creates almost like a light exercise without activity. As your body heats up, your heart beats a little bit faster, and you create a temporary amount of shear stress, activating that endothelial-derived nitric oxide synthase and boosting your nitric oxide levels. So exercise, sauna, two amazing ways to increase your natural nitric oxide production. Now, let's skip over to the next side, which is diet. And this is huge. Getting in large amounts of dietary nitrates from fruits and vegetables is a key way to increase your nitric oxide production. We know that leafy greens, primarily like arugula and spinach, have major amounts of nitrates in it that, as we talked about earlier in the video, your body absorbs, concentrates in your salivary glands, which then get converted and swallowed and converted in your stomach to make this nitric oxide gas. The other one that's incredibly beneficial is beets, and there's a broad amount of studies looking at beetroot juice extracts and its ability to increase circulating nitric oxide levels, which got blown up in the Olympics several years ago as all the athletes were drinking beetroot juice powder. And of course, we now see the market flooded with beetroot, most of it not very good because there's no standardization of nitrates in it. But if you get a good quality product that's standardized, it can have a significant impact. Now, the thing that I told you to hold on to and listen for in this video is that you can also get nitrates in processed meats. We know that it's in there, things like salamis and hot dogs and other types of processed meat products. But here's the thing. Those nitrates get converted into a very dangerous compound that's associated with cancer. Now, the reason why is because the nitrates in fruits and vegetables come alongside with natural antioxidants, things like vitamin C and polyphenols. And these protect the nitrite from being converted into dangerous cancer-causing chemicals. Now, in addition, processed meats tend to have a lot of pro-oxidants. Okay, they have preservatives, they are cooked oftentimes in high heat, which creates oxidative damage, and they're often flavored with different types of chemicals like smoke flavor, which is a pro-oxidant. And lastly, meats have something in them called heme, which is a type of compound that our bodies produce in blood that animals produce as well. And heme is known to oxidize the nitrate into these carcinogenic properties. Now, vegetables don't have any of those. Vegetables don't have pro-oxidants. They're not usually cooked under high heat. They don't have heme, and they're loaded with antioxidants and polyphenols, which continually push that nitrate into that positive cycle of creating nitric oxide. So that is one of the best things you can do to increase your nitric oxide production and support your cardiovascular health. But remember, if you don't have a good oral microbiome and you don't have appropriate stomach acid, you will not be able to convert any of those nitrates into this beneficial nitric oxide. So it's recommended to not use antiseptic mouthwashes, create good oral hygiene, use good probiotics, eat plenty of fruits and vegetables that are high in fiber to get your gut microbiome, and be careful about using therapies on an ongoing basis that reduce your stomach acidity. We know they come with a host of other health problems, and there's many, many natural ways to reduce symptoms associated with gastritis and reflux without turning to antacids. So I hope that you've learned a lot in this video. It's one of the most important concepts, and I had so much fun researching it and learning about it, and I hope you enjoyed watching. So stay tuned, share the video, like it, and subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you next time.